Hey, I'm Phoenix, and today I will be covering the SoS5 7010 KVK matchmaking and my stats and predictions. So this KVK is one of the more anticipated ones, as this does have Echo versus BTX in it. And I wanted to start off by covering the Brink of War Troll Day. So you don't get many points for Troll Day, but it does show alliance activity and about how many members there are in each alliance and how active they are. So if we look at realm rankings, currently leading is BTX, and then we have Echo in second with 156 million points. Third, we have MFD with 122 million points. We are in fourth, 435 with 121 million points. BNR is in fifth with 118 million points. Sixth is EX with 63 million points. 7 is SRV with 59 million points, and 8 is HOUW with 44 million points. So we are doing really good as a B seed. So these top 3 are A seed alliances. This one's an A seed, and then these are the B seeds. So in comparison to the B seed alliances, we are doing extremely well in 435. Now to jump into the stats. So here's a flowchart of the SoS5 map that I made. There are 2 teams, the blue team and the red team. We are on the blue team in server 435 VW. In our warband, we have MFD, server 77, and then our allies are server 60, which is Echo, and then server 73, which is SVR. On the red team, there is server 99, which is BTX, with server 222, which is HOUW, and then their allies are server 156, which is BNR, and then server 11, which is EX. So for the past one fight, Echo and SVR will be versing BTX and HOUW over in this past one. And then VW and MFD will be versing BNR and EX over in this past one. I will go over my predictions at the end, but now I will briefly go over the top 36 players of each KVK. So starting off, we have Echo and server 60. These are their top 36 players. This is my third KVK, and I have never seen players with near this much power, so this is absolutely insane to me. So this is Echo. This is MFD, server 77. This is us, VW, server 435. SVR, server 73. BTX, server 99. They also have a lot of high power players. BNR, server 156. EX, server 11. And then HOUW, server 222. Now I will go into the kingdom stats. So now we'll go into the server stats for each alliance in the KVK. So I'll go over some of the most important factors of each alliance. So starting off, I have the blue team on the top 4, and then the red team on the bottom 4. So starting off with Echo and server 60, they have a total power of almost 30 billion, so that is insane. They have an average power of 162 million. They have 131 billion total kills, 491 million total deaths. They have 34 lords over 200 million power, and then in total they have 184 lords over 60 million power. In MFD, they have a total power of 18.7 billion. They have an average power of 103 million. They have 68.8 billion kills. They have 283 million deaths. They have 3 lords over 200 million power, and then they have 175 lords over 60 mil power, and then 181 lords in total. Us in 435, we are a newer alliance, so we have less higher power players, but we have a total power of 12.3 billion. We have an average power of roughly 70 million. We have 31 billion total kills, and then we have 115 million total deaths. We currently don't have any players over 200 mil power. We have a few in 150 to 200 mil range. And then we have 91 lords over 60 mil power, but we also have 177 lords total, and we are very active. And then the last team for the blue side is SVR. They have 7.4 billion power. They have an average power of 82 million. They have 16.5 billion total kills. They have 80.4 million deaths. They also don't have any lords in the 200 mil range or the 150 or 200 mil range, but they have 75 lords over 60 mil power, and then they have 90 lords over 15 million power. So now jumping into the red side, we have BTX server 99 with 29.3 billion power. They have an average power of 147 million. They have 118.5 billion total kills, 315 million total deaths, 22 lords over 200 million power, and then they have 198 lords over 60 mil, and then I guess they have one lord more that has over 15 mil. BNR has a total power of 18.4 billion. They have an average power of 109 million. They have 55 billion kills. They have 212.7 million deaths. They have 5 lords over 200 mil power, 163 lords with 60 or more power, and then they have 169 lords with 15 mil or more power. Now for EX, they have 11.4 billion power. They have an average power of 90.8 million. They have 30.6 billion total kills, and they have 126 million total deaths. They have one player that has above 200 million power. They have 119 players above 60 mil power, and then 126 players that are above 15 million power. And then lastly, HOUW, they have 8.7 billion power. They have an average power of 87 million. They have 21.8 billion total kills. They have 93 million total deaths. They have one lord that has 200 mil power or more. They have 86 lords with 60 mil or more power. And then they have 100 lords with 15 mil or more power. So right off the bat, I noticed that the range and power for these servers are completely insane, going from 7 billion all the way to almost 30 billion. So I know Echo was trying to match with BTX, so they designed their team this way. So Echo matches with BTX basically. MFD matches perfectly with BNR here. VW, we match perfectly with EX, and then HOUW match almost perfectly with SVR. So this is actually pretty even. Almost. So here are the alliance stats. For the blue team, the total power is 68.4 billion. The average power is 108 million. There is a total kill count of 248 billion kills. Total deaths of 970 million total deaths. There are 37 lords above 200 mil power, and this is a really big deal. There is 525 lords above 60 million power, and then 632 lords above 15 million power. And now for the red team, they also have 68 billion total power. They have a higher average power of 114 million. They have 226 billion total kills, 747 million total deaths. They have 29 lords with 200 mil power or more. They have 566 lords with 60 million or more power, but then they only have 594 lords with 15 million or more power. So now I want to go into my predictions of how this season will go, and I'll jump back into the Kingdom Stats page for this. So my first prediction will be the bottom left corner Zone 1 fight. So this is MFD and VW versus BNR and EX. So I do believe we will win this fight, VW and MFD. As you can see from the stats here, there are 181 total players in MFD and 177 total players in VW. MFD has 18.7 billion power and we have 12.3 billion power. And then the red team has 169 players in BNR and then 126 players in EX. BNR has 18.4 billion power and EX has 11.4 billion power. So as I've seen from past seasons, even though if a team has a higher average power but way less players, they will still usually lose the zone based off of activity, as the amount of players really does make a difference. So now my prediction for the top right past one. This is Echo and SVR versus BTX and HOUW. So I do believe Echo and SVR will win this fight. So Echo has 34 lords above 200 mil power and 56 lords in the 150 to 200 million power range, while BTX only has 22 lords above 200 mil power and then 40 lords in the 150 to 200 mil power range. these higher power players do make a huge difference in wars, as they just have endless amount of troops. So now moving on to the statues, there's one up here in the top left corner and then one down here in the bottom right. So this statue is Echo and SVR versus BNR and EX. So this is a huge power difference here, so I do believe Echo will really easily win this statue. And then down here in the bottom right corner is BTX and HOUW versus VW and MFD. And then this statue, so there is a huge power difference here, but we have a lot more players in VW, so this one actually could be kind of close, I think. I think this one might be close. And then for the Zone 3 fights, which are these green arrows here, so every warband gets their own Zone 3. And then these lines here are the pass 4s, so each alliance could go through this pass 4 to attack the alliance in the Zone 3 here. I don't think any alliance here will get Zone 1 locked. I think each alliance will be able to be capable of holding back the other alliance from getting Zone 1 locked. So I do believe all 4 warbands will be able to get into the center dragon fight. And now I'll go over that fight and I'll jump back right into the alliance stats. So now for the final zone fight, so the average power for the red team is 114 million power, and then the average power for the blue team is only 108 million power. However, the total lord count for the blue team is 632 players, while for the red team it's only 594. So this does make a big difference, as more players is more activity, and the more players on the field, it is very impactful when it comes to this game, as I've noticed. And also for the total lords above 200 mil power, and just this range is significantly higher than the red team. So I do believe we have an advantage as the blue team, and I am excited to see how this goes, but I do believe we will secure the dragon as well. So those are my final predictions for this SoS5 map, and really looking forward to this one. I will be streaming every pass opening, I believe, and I think my goal this season will be 50 million merits. I'll see if I can hit that. But looking forward to this, as this will put VW more on the map, and we could show Call of Dragons what VW is capable of. Thank you for watching.